Hi everybody, how you doing? How are you this evening? I'm happy that you're here. Give me a sign that you can hear everything and that it's fine because this is a new system and I'm trying to figure things out as I go. And I want to make sure it's not like, kind of going crazy on me. So make sure. Um, New mic, new everything happening here, and it's not easy to set this up the way that I kind of want, but I think it's going to be just fine. Running this new system was weird because after I plugged everything in, it didn't work. Of course, it didn't work. It couldn't work on the first try, right? And were you able to hear the music and everything okay? Um, awesome. Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, obviously my mic is a little vintagey, and I've got some tube stuff going on, so it's a little bit a little on the harsh, not harsh, but I like that sort of distortion. But that's just my way. In time, it'll figure itself out, I guess. But hi, how are you? Gonna say hi to the people that are listening right now that I have while the chat is reasonable, and by reasonable meaning that it's not scrolling so fast that I can't read. Todd, Alfonso, JPK on Twitch, Lalo on Facebook, Dro Trentman on YouTube, Emilio on Facebook, Claudio B on Facebook. Hi. Thanks to you, this one. Um, oh, we've got Robert in the house, Lisa, Wendy, hi, Sage. Um, Yep, there it goes. There it goes. It's starting to freak out. Eric in the house, Robot and Isopods. Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you, for being here. And let me make sure that all my settings are right. Well, if you say that it sounds good, I have to trust it. I don't know. I think it's too loud on my side, but I don't know. There we go. That's a little bit better. I won't go crazy trying to overpower the microphone. But how are you? Uh, Crazy week as usual in Abox land. So, the topic for this evening is going to be the simulacrum. And in other spaces, I would have known this as the matrix. But it's interesting. Something happened. Well, I'm getting way ahead of myself, but let's put it this way. I have to give you a disclaimer before I begin because this is going to be a weird episode. It's a little on the heavy side. We've got music to kind of augment it, but it's a weird one. It's a weird thing. But certain information came to me, and how it came to me is interesting because it's I wouldn't say that it's common in the way that it came to me. Sorry, I'm still trying to figure out everything here. So I received this bit of information, and as I was receiving this information and I was looking it over and how it found its way to me from all these different sources, I realized there's no going back. I can't unsee it. I can't unexperience it. Therefore, I'm giving you the warning that everything I talk about tonight, once I give you this stuff, it's on you. You may not be able to unsee, unfeel, unhear what I'm about to bring. So it is a bit weird, but we're going to get into it because it has a lot to do with AI and especially the art side of it and music, especially, and well, mostly art and music. I'm going to focus it on that, but I can't guarantee that it's not going to go into areas of the great unknown. As Claudio B says, we're just effed. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that over the weekend. But yeah, maybe so. Maybe there is no going back. But once you've seen or heard what I'm about to give you, there might not be a way for it to come back. So, with that, I'm going to play the first request that I got for the day. and collect my thoughts and my notes so we can come back and just start right into it. But before I do that, I'm going to give you the news. And oh, look at that. There's this little buy me, look at that. There's this little buy me coffee thing. So if you know, I am on Buy Me Coffee. So if you want to buy me a coffee, now you can, and your name will pop up on the screen. I haven't tried it, but apparently your name will pop up on the screen. I tried it with a test, and test popped up on the screen. So I don't know if it's working, but if it isn't, you can always support me there. Another way to support me is, of course, Bandcamp and all that stuff. So if you're just tuning in, welcome. Wow. Todd says, I'm still trying to get Gemini to teach Copilot to do basic accounting activities. Well, see, this is going to be interesting. This is an interesting one because it's something I did not expect. This is like it hit me from left field what I'm about to talk about. So it's going to be a bit weird. It's not going to be the whole like, oh, I don't like AI art and it's going to take over jobs. It's not that at all. It has to do with the unfolding and breaking of reality. And it's happening. And whether we can stop it or not is another issue. I think we can, but it would take a collective effort to do it. But we're going to get into it. So anyway, that's that. When we come back, I'll give you some news on things that are going on in my world, and the anything box stuff happening, and then we'll get right into it. So this request was from Claudio B, and he wanted to hear Fields of Regret, and I almost played that first, but I decided to go with something that was sort of random. And I want to see if when you go back and listen to the stream, if you can actually find the repeating parts and see if you can figure out on the first track that I played what the repeating parts were. And one is machine generated all the way. The other is the human playing along. So you figure it out, and you'll be able to tell me that, when you watch it again. But this was all human played. So here we go. Fields of Regret. I'll put on the visuals for the moment, or the drone cam as I collect my thoughts, and then we'll get started. Fields of Regret. So we're back. All right. I'm going to read this along with you just a little bit, just to give you a background of how this happened. Basically, this is a guy that wrote a book in 1929, probably one of the first people to write about us having a simulation. But he was describing concepts in that book that didn't exist until now. And as I started to get this information, did we just lose the interwebs? No, tell me that isn't so. You're going to have to give me a signal that we're still on because it says I'm off. Hopefully we're still on, but we'll see. Web capture. So the guy's name is Jean, I'm going to butcher his name here, Baudrillard, and he was born in July 1929, and he died in 2007. He was a sociologist and a philosopher with interest in cultural studies. He's best known for his analysis of media, contemporary culture, and technological communication. That's an important aspect of this, as well as the formulation of concepts such as hyperreality. I didn't know he was the guy that coined the term, but I knew the term. Baudrillard also wrote about diverse subjects: consumerism, critiques of economy, social history, aesthetics. But the book I'm going to concentrate on there's two of them, and one I don't even see here, but it's Simulacra and Simulation, which is from 1981, and another one called The Conspiracy of Art, which I found very interesting. Oops. I guess we can, we're good. We're still here. Good. Thank you. I was getting scared there. So basically, this guy wrote this book, and he had what I would call a theory about how simulacra, or simulacra as I say it, occurs in technological societies. And we're going to go through all of them in regards to art, music, and society as a whole. So with each one, I'm going to try to tackle each one as a little mini, for lack of a better word, mini doc. I can't even say the word I have in my head. Okay, there you go. The brain is failing. Oh my God. A little talk, we'll say. So here's the 4 segments that we're going to cover. The first order is called the faithful copy. The second order of art or music is called the distorted reflection. The third order is called the facade of reality. And the fourth order is pure simulation, the hyperreal. And I've added the fifth order, which is the end, like as in done. So we're going to draw a little bit on, I cannot say this guy's name for the life of me. Baudrillard. I'm going to call him Baudrillard because I don't know that I could say it right. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Baudrillard's ghost. We're going to draw on Baudrillard's idea that art conspired with commerce and media, eventually becoming a trans-aesthetic spectacle. And looking around the internet, where you can see a lot of things that you could consider war porn, where the image itself overshadows the events or the facts surrounding the events. Think of things going on in the world. This is paralleling how AI seems to flood the markets with meaningless output. So you're going to find that reality is very difficult to define, as copies of realities are made and each one blurs the one before it. And I'm going to explain it. We'll get into it. So here is, from the drone cam, the first order, the faithful copy. So, what is the faithful copy? So this could be, for example, when you make a picture of the outside world, or you take a photograph. Well, probably a photograph is actually a much better analogy. If you go outside and you take a photograph, that photograph is a pretty good representation of reality. This is what was outside. You pulled out your camera or your phone, you took a picture of it. That is reality. It's a starting point, and like all the early recordings of, let's say, audio or photographs, they were designed to capture real life. The first photographs were mostly portraits. So people sat, someone, took a picture, and it was done. Someone sat down to record an album, someone hit the record button, it was done. So think of it as the first session of a recording session where you're like, I just came up with a song idea and I want to record it. So I'm going to hit the record button. I'm going to play my piano. I'm going to sing my song, maybe read off the lyrics that I wrote. And this is the first recording of it. So it's the first reproduction of the real thing that was in my head. That's what you would consider the first order. And you could say that for many different things, this is how we live our lives. We live our lives believing that everything is first order. So an example of something that isn't first order, but we perceive it as first order is if I said to you, hey, I recorded this song direct to tape, and now you are going to download that tape. Technically speaking, that's second order. You're getting the secondary copy. Now, because we live in a digital world, obviously, it's a clone. So that could be argued. Sorry, I can't see the chat. So if you're saying something, I can't see it. Sorry. So in this first order, second order scenario, reality functions with us. We're part of it. Another example that I could give you would be that, even if you painted an abstract version of what you saw as reality, that's still first order. Meaning you reacted to the thing, you had an emotion towards it, so you're going to express it. And if that means throwing paint at a canvas and then calling it whatever it was that was outside, there is still a connection. The connection is still there. The connection's there because your emotional intent was to process what you saw or what you felt. So therefore, the connection between the art piece or the musical piece, or the poem you're going to write, or the movie you're planning to make, all these things still have a connection to that initial spark that lit it. You could say, even the cavemen, right? Like, that's another example of first order. So, caveman's in his cave. They went hunting, so he does his scrawling on the caves of, them hunting an animal. If you look at the picture, it doesn't look anything like the thing, but you can tell just by looking at it, this was depicted either directly after it happened or as an anticipation of what was going to happen. But there was a connection to the thing. You could say that is about as real as it gets. In fact, if you touch the stone itself, you are connected to the very stone that first human used to draw or carve that thing in. So that is a direct connection to reality. Think of all the different connections with reality you've had throughout your life. Think about it. Your parents, when you were first hugged, the first toys you've ever held, these are connection to real things. The first time you held a little car in your hand and you were playing with it, you knew it was very similar to the one you got into when your dad drove you somewhere. These are first order, bordering on second order sort of reality shifts. You're seeing it, it connects with you because it's real. Now, it gets weirder, and it's going to get weirder as it goes up these levels. But for now, understand that you do have connection to this first order of reality. When you look at your hand, it's real. When you touch it, you could say, well, this is the same hand, although it's gotten older. Mine in particular here. It hurts sometimes. But but what I'm saying is that this hand that I'm holding right here is my hand. It goes back to when I was born. It is connected to me through years and years and hours and minutes and seconds of reality. It's not a carbon copy of my hand. It's the real hand, although it's evolved, changed. So, very rooted in reality. But what happens when that gets shifted? When we don't have that sort of reality? So, I guess, have you ever felt like, for example, that your love of art, after you see so much of it online, sort of diminishes it? Or how about selfies? Like, how many selfies can you possibly look at before you start to tune them out? And how soon before you start to figure out that every selfie uses some sort of filter rather than depicting the real world? It's already putting something else on top of it, which isn't real, and it wasn't there, but it aesthetically looks right to us. We come to accept it, that that's better than what we took. I mean, I could say I'm very guilty of that. I love taking photographs and then converting them to black and white. Why? Why is that the case? So, have you ever thought about it? Have you ever like stepped back from whatever it is you do, whether it's art, music, whatever? Have you ever stepped back and asked yourself, why do I find these aesthetics to be correct for me when maybe they're not rooted in reality? Like, why am I into it? So, we see a lot of paintings online, for example. Have you ever touched a real one? Have you ever like been in a museum and seen a painting that you've seen in books and like, go behind the line and just like touch it just to know that it's real? Like, have you ever done that? I have. I almost got caught. But so this is where we are, the faithful copy of reality. And can we stay there forever? No, we already lost it. We already started to accept many, many years ago. I would say from the late 1950s on, we were already moved into the second order. So let's play a song. For this one was, let's see, who was it that? Oh, this was for Kim. Kim wanted to hear Automatons, and that's the one we're going to play next because everything is automatic. See, she did that. I didn't do that. I'll keep the moon chat on, and then we can chat while we're listening. So we now come to the second order of simulacra, the distorted reflection. So this one, I would argue, is where we've been for a very long time. So this is the one where, so I want you to think about each one that I'm bringing up, these orders, these 4 orders or levels. You can call them levels. I realized before the stream, by the way, that I should have called them levels, but levels of reality. But he calls them order. So I'm gonna stick to his version, but I prefer the word levels. So the second order or level is when the copies become distorted. And this is where we get into, like I said, I would argue that this started right around the time that we discovered multi-track recording and printing. So if you think about, let's say the first, I'm going to say it like this, the first Beatles album, I know it was recorded in just 1 week, I think, or it might have even been faster than that. I should know this. But they recorded it very quickly because, generally speaking, they had just rehearsed the songs. They would go into the studio, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, go for it, do a couple takes, and then at best, the engineer would have to just take 1 or 2 takes and splice them together. There was no overdubs. These were the final recordings. What we heard was what we got. So I would call these the beginnings of the second order type thing. And then, of course, these would get pressed onto records, and then we would go out and buy these 7-inch, well, not you, maybe not me, but buy the 7-inch records, bring them home and play them. So we'd be hearing a copy of a copy of a copy. So not quite perfect from the original, because I'm sure that live, listening to it happening live in the studio must have been pretty amazing to hear 4 guys playing their instruments with their amps on and everybody's just jamming along, and that must have been amazing. And what that second order was able to do was to basically take that recording and make a copy of it. And then from there, from that master, we had our vinyl records, and then later on cassettes and CDs and so forth. We did like a little bit of a sine wave curve, and I'll get to that too. But for the most part, we went from real life, real live, to a second degree copy, and we all bought that second degree copy, put it on, and listened to it. And then, of course, the radio played it over the airwaves, and their altering of the audio in any way, shape, or form already distorted it from the real thing, but we didn't care. It still was reasonably acceptable to think that that was what we would call a first order, bordering on second order of reality. But what happened? What happened in the late 1950s and 1960s? Well, we got multi-tracking. That meant that if I didn't like the guitar part, I could replay the guitar part. It didn't have to be live anymore. And if I wanted to add an instrument that one of the 4 couldn't play, this is me pretending I'm in the Beatles right now. Let's say that, just humor me, because that's cool. I want to be part of the Beatles. Yes, I'm the 5th Beatle. So yeah, if they wanted an extra sound in there, one of them would have to play it, or 2 of them would have to play it. So the multi-track enabled us to do more. And then once they figured out that, hey, we can take everything we've recorded on these 3 tracks, bounce it or record it to 1 track, now we have all 4 on 1 and we've got 3 left over to do whatever we want. As you started to do this, it became further detached from reality. This second order, or this second level of reality, at first was mind-blowing. People would put, their records on and just go, how did they do this? And of course, it came out that this is how it's done. And of course, everyone must have thought back then it must have been like cheating or something. I'm sure that was some of the commentary of the time. Or they thought of it as such a technological wonder that It's amazing that we can hear things this way. So what happened? As time went on, 4 tracks turned into a 16 track, 16 track turned into a 24 track, 24 track turned into 32 tracks. We already had this by the late 80s. And then by the time the 2000s roll around, and actually earlier, but I'm going to just use the 2000s as a reference point. By the time we got to usable computers and DAWs, or digital audio workstations, track count became irrelevant. In fact, I would say that at this very moment, there are songs on the radio that could be 3 tracks to 300 tracks. It doesn't matter. There's no real cap anymore. You can go until the cows come home, literally. Do we even know where the cows live that they could come home? I don't know. That was weird. So this second level, we reached it, and we exploited it, and we loved it. And this wound up becoming part of the film industry as well, because we realized, hey, we can film these backgrounds and then play the background on a sheet or something, and then refilm someone in front of it, and now we've got all this stuff, layers. And of course, that became completely crazy by the time we got to the 2000s. But do you see what I'm saying? Psychologically speaking, though, we viewed it as reality. Once you put the record on, it was like a reality. This is the new Depeche Mode album. I love it. I wasn't thinking about how many tracks it took to make it. I wasn't even concerned with that. My concern was how the music took me from point A to point B, how the stereo field in my headphone was just amazing. All these things work together to inform me that this is now reality. So that when I would go back to something from the early 1960s or 50s, say the Beatles, I would hear that stuff and say, wow, this is really dinky. I hear a lot of noise. I hear a lot of like sloppy playing. I hear a lot of like mistakes. I'm like, wow, it's like I never noticed that before. But I'll say this, because I do love that stuff. Because my reality started with that, I could accept it. But it's interesting because I hear sometimes younger kids, the younger, say, those records are so bad, they were terrible at sound design, as if sound design was a thing. They were terrible at mixing because everything overlaps with each other. They were terrible at recording vocals because you can hear plosives in the mic. You could hear mistakes in their voice. They should have used auto-tune. They think that all of these technologies goes back all the way down to the beginning. They don't realize that these things didn't exist. That in itself is interesting to me, because it means that as each generation grows up, what they perceive as reality and what is reality to them is baked in. So what came before, anything they did not experience directly, it's not real. And that's actually the problem, because we're heading into an area where we won't be able to discern where reality actually began. And we're going to see people who deny it altogether, where we were there, and we won't be able to say our piece like we were there. Like, we lose the nuances. Yes, Fabian, thank you. That is exactly what I meant to say. Thank you for that. Yeah, you lose the nuances. So that's the second level. And pretty much up until the time AI entered the picture, real AI, not like, I don't mean like AI tools in Photoshop and things like that, because although I think that was like the first inklings of this, I don't think it was the decisive moment. I think the decisive moment was the Chat GPTs, the Groks, the Claude AIs. Yes, there is one named Claude. I know. I used it. The Claude AIs, the Gemini, all that stuff. once they entered the picture, the era of that second level of reality ended. And we didn't even know that it ended. We just accepted it. We didn't even know it happened, but it happened. We crossed into the third level. So with that, let's play a song. Ah, man. So, oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, yeah, he's one of my personal go-tos, but I actually favor Grok, but that's only because I don't know. I don't know. I have more fun with it. I guess it's because it's just part of X and I get to just do it quickly, but people use it for stupid things and they get stupid answers. But anyway, here we go. This is Our Dreams. Edit the dreams. As in third order or second order? You tell me. What version of this is this song? Sulin, what is it that you hold in your hands?
Why, teacher, it's my anything box.
So, this is where it gets weird. Like the first two, you could see as real, um, honest explanations of what reality is. I mean, to give you a quick recap, it's what we said, right? The first one, easy enough. You see the outside world, you take a picture of it, there's your photograph, you have a connection to that reality. My hand, your hand, is the same hand you've had since you were born. You can see a connection to it, even though it's gotten older. It's a connection to reality. Second order or second level of reality was when we started to be able to buy mass produced books. We didn't buy the book that the person wrote and hand wrote and gave to us. We bought the book that was printed in a press. And then that printing press sent it out to bookstores. We bought the book. We didn't have to own the real painting. We could go buy a print. Still connection to the reality because we knew, hey, this is a print of this. But it could be argued that the tie to reality got a little skewed. By the time we were at third order of reality, we were a little bit further disconnected because now we could introduce things into it that weren't there before. So here comes the third one. And this one's complicated. And this one's the scary one. So I'm going to talk about AI a little bit, the good and the bad, but mostly about things that I've talked about here on this channel when we were discussing AI art and all this other stuff. So I've talked about how AI scraped art all over the internet and how that was a terrible thing and, how I thought that was not a good thing. And I'm sure that you're seeing a lot of those kinds of posts now where people are like talking very much about the idea that prompting is an art and telling the machine to make something for you, and he makes an image for you, but he pulls it from everywhere else that it sits around the internet to create that image. That is a pseudo glimpse into the third aspect, you would think, but it's actually still rooted in the second level of reality. Let me explain. When I say, hey, make me an image, yeah, okay. Someone just says, AI is dangerous. Denise says, yes, it is. Fabian says, let's say, okay, an apple. Very good. Let's say that you ask the machine, hey, make me a nice red apple on a, black background. It will generate this for you. It's able to generate this for you because even the AI at that point is rooted in what I would consider or argue is second level, second order reality. It's pulling up a facsimile, which is an interesting word to use, of something that was once real, that it knows how to identify as real, because the consensus is this is what an apple looks like. We can all agree that an apple looks a certain way, a certain shape, although some people might say, well, we're used to green apples, or another segment of the population will say, well, we're used to red apples. Okay, for the most part, but most people will generally understand that the apple, whether it turns out green or red, is an apple on a black background. Now, of course, it's none of those things because what we're really looking at is a bunch of pixels. We're not really looking at an apple. We're not really looking at this, we might say, oh, it's an apple against a red velvet background. No, because there's no real velvet. It's not a real apple. You can't bite into it. So the reality is it isn't an apple. The machine knows it's not an apple. You know it's not an apple. We've made a decision to accept that this is a reasonable facsimile of an apple. In fact, if the machine gave you an anime version of an apple, you would say, that doesn't look real. I want you to make it look real. And of course, he'll give you a much more three-dimensionally defined apple, right? The AI will give you a perfect rendition of an apple. And you're like, there you go. Now it looks more real. We're already using the language of it looks more real. Further, we go to the store. You pick up an apple. What does it look like? It's shiny. It's polished. Have you ever stopped to think about that apples don't grow that way? That when an apple is on a tree, they're all sorts of different colors, and that the texture of an apple when it comes off the tree is actually it's not very smooth. It's almost like a matte coating. So like if I gave you a bunch of apples that came from a tree, you might look at them and say, those apples look weird. They don't look right to me because we're so used to the supermarket version of an apple, the perfectly polished version of an apple. That is what informs our brain as real now. Just like corn has to be bright yellow, it can't be white or discolored. It has to be this wonderful color yellow. And if you ever look at the supermarket, everything is laid out in wonderful colors of yellow, green, red, orange. You know, it's not all haphazard. It's designed so that we accept this as everything is perfect. This is like how it's supposed to be. That's how it, like, if a store showed you what real organic food looked like all around, I think we would probably freak out. We're already in that mode that everything has to look a certain way. And this is where second order ends and third order begins. And this is where we get into the weird stuff. And this is the weird stuff that I came across that really bugged me. So I'm not bugged by the fact that a machine can make art. I don't care. Um, I don't feel the machine is a competition for me. I mean, I've said this before. So if you're an artist or you're a musician and you're worried that AI is going to take all the music away and all the art away and no one's ever going to look at your real art again, stop it. Stop it right now because it doesn't even matter. It What matters is if you enjoy making it and you enjoy having the purpose of making art, you're just going to make it. It's not going to matter if someone likes it or not. I don't care. I don't care if anyone likes what I make. I hope they do. I want them to, but I don't ultimately care. Because if I cared, then I would start to cater. And once you cater, you lose yourself. I mean, this is something we've had ingrained into us since we were kids, right? Don't be the poser. don't be don't be, a sellout. What does that really mean? In the real definitions of those terms, what it means is the minute you stop being yourself, you're lost. So, if we're going to worry about AI art taking your job, well, maybe if you're a designer and I can see fields where that's going to happen. So I'm not going to lie. There are areas of concern. But what I'm saying is, yeah, exactly. Fabian says, or you're worried about what anyone thinks if you are or not. You are or you are not an artist. There are more things to worry about than, the consensus of whether a machine can draw. Like, look, I'll tell you right now, any machine can draw better than me. They can. They can draw the Mona Lisa to a T. I cannot. So does that mean the machine's more talented than me? No. Can the machine come up with the concepts that my head comes up with on a daily basis? Even if it means like scrawling with my hands and blood on a piece of paper? It can't. It can't have, oops, sorry, something went my eye. It can't have the emotion that I put into the piece. It cannot do it. And even when maybe on some fake level it reaches that point, it won't even matter. So that area of AI art is not a concern. So that's not what this is about. This third level of the distortion of reality or the erosion of reality is how this art comes to be. So this is where we were just less than a month ago. Less than a month. Less than a month ago, you could ask any of these AIs to generate something based on a prompt. You would say, make me that apple on a background, and it would do it. If you didn't like it, you would say, regenerate it. I don't even know if people are talking to them and giving them prompts, because that's something else that came up in the chat. I would never even talk to these things, ever. There's a reason for it. I'll get to that at the end of the whole thing because it is important. I never talk to them. I only type. So, and I have a very good reason for doing it that way. So, now, third order. I saw something the other day that really bothered me. So someone made a tool so that you don't have to prompt, because prompting is hard. Because now you have to come up with something. Like you have to come up with the imaginative, make me an apple on a wooden chair, and, blah, bitty, blah, blah, blah. You have to do this. So now someone created a prompt generator. So you tell the prompt generator, I now want you to come up with the prompts so that I can then feed it to the AI and it'll make the art. In other words, my imagination is not invested enough to even come up with the sentence that's going to make the art. I'm telling the machine, you make the sentences, then I'll feed them back to you, and then we'll see what kind of images you come up with. So the actual human factor, the intent, has already been removed. And that, to me, was scary. That's the part that's scary. Not the part that it can generate things from prompt, but that the humans would get so lazy that they can't even type the prompt. They're going to ask the machine to come up with the prompt based on a vibe. It's called vibe prompting. So the idea is, I'm looking for a vibe, man. So give me some 1960s sci-fi prompts. Think robots. And then the machine generates the prompts. Then the artist pastes the prompts into the generator. The generator now makes the art. Do you see what just happened? We went from the second order of reproduction of reality all the way to the third within just a month. We went from the second to the third in just a month. And that's crazy. To me, that's crazy. Gets worse. Then somebody said, hey, I've got an idea. Why don't I connect Alexa to the prompt generator so that when I feel like having, as an artist, think about this as an artist, but I'm thinking of it from the detached human point of view now. So when I feel like making art, I'm going to say, hey, Alexa, talk to the prompt generator and generate some vibes for some sci-fi stuff for me, okay? Alexa will now talk to the prompt generator that will then generate the prompts, and Alexa will connect the prompts that the prompt generator made to the AI, and the AI will now send the finished drawings to the artist, whereas the artist will now look at it and say, oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's fire. Let's go. Let's do it again. Yeah, Alexa, do it again. He's so removed, this person, from the actual creation. Sorry. That's hilarious. Talk about third order right there. That's so funny. That's hilarious. That's the first time that I've activated Alexa over the internet. That's awesome. I love it. That's probably a good time to stop and play a song. So this this one's for Lalo. This one's Heaven is a lonely place in time per request, and we'll come back to the third order because it's gonna get even weirder. It's gonna get into now it's gonna start getting into like the real weird shit. You thought the first ones were like maybe boring, but this other stuff is not boring. It's scary.
Is a lonely place in time. Heaven, I've got nowhere to hide.
That was for Lalo. Thank you for that one. That's from the new album, by the way. Thank you. So that third order, I mean, we're not even on the fourth yet, but I mean, we're getting there. We're like so close to the fourth that it's about to happen. It's like, and that's what's scary is that it only took under 4 years to go from second order to third, and we're going to go from third to fourth in just, I don't know, the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. because it's already happening and we can't stop it. And that's scary, but it is what it is. So here's how this works. Again, to reiterate, it's not so bad that you can prompt an image to being. Now you can tell your other AI to talk to the prompt generator that will generate the prompt, and between it and your device will conspire, for lack of a better word, with the third-party AI, whoever it happens to be, to make the image, which then you judge. And that's really your only job, to give the command to the replicator units and to judge the output. But you yourself are not participating with intent or purpose to create it. I could see an argument for the prompter, because I can see someone that says, well, I could never draw, but I have a vivid imagination. So I want to be able to use that imagination to create things. And it's great that this thing can talk to me and create things. I see that. And I also see the idea of artists who will use this technology to, let's say, prompt bits of their art. And I did an experiment with this, and I'll show it to you when I'm done, to interact with it, meaning for a part of the journey. You could say, hey, make me, I don't know, a circuit board. Give me a circuit board, early 1970s of a computer system, because no one's going to be able to really draw that. So to say to the machine, hey, make me the circuit board, do it in black and white, and then I want to print it out on my laser printer, and there it is, and you go, oh cool, this looks great. So now I'm going to take that and I'm going to draw on top of it, or cut it up into pieces and glue it to a canvas, or whatever it is you're going to do. That's an interaction. And that stays within the realm of first order, second order. And you're still being able to use the devices, the machines, the cameras, the synthesizers, all these things can be used in that realm without breaking the actual connection to the piece. But once the only thing you're doing is judging and critiquing, I mean, I can't imagine doing that. Like, I can't imagine saying, hey, here's the lyrics to the song, here's the melody, and that's already like a stretch. Put something together that sounds like me from, 1990, peace era, make it a Kiss of Love Part 2 kind of thing, and then judging the output only and saying, not one, maybe two, change the beat a little bit, and then go, cool. Hey, everybody, here's the new Anything Box thing. I can't imagine doing that. Like, even coming like an iota of this much to that, because I can't imagine doing it. But that doesn't mean others aren't going to do it. And that's where it starts to get scary, because from there, the general population accepts this as reality. This is how we make records now. We just tell the machine to make them, and we just judge them. That's normal. What's wrong with you? So that is the scary stuff. And then this other story that came out. Now, this is interesting too. I'm not going to say the names of the people and all that, because I'm not interested. It's not about the news story. It's about what happened. So I saw a news story where they basically, using photographs, AI prompting, and the modeling of someone's voice, brought back a victim that had died being shot at one of those school shootings. So they brought the guy back to life, as they said, and they had him on TV talking about how we need gun control laws. And the reason why that's so completely out of this world dystopian is because, number one, the guy's dead. I know it sucks. He was a victim, but he's dead. He's not real. So the person talking that we saw wasn't real. The reporter talking to someone that wasn't real, that it in itself is unreal. and it was on TV. And then the parents of this kid, which made me even sadder, like saying he's come back from the dead to tell everybody, and he came back to warn everybody. He didn't come back. This isn't coming back. There's no such thing. The whole thing is an illusion. But the way that it got taken on, like people commenting, like, it's such a great message and such a great thing. Yes, this is why we have to get rid of guns and blah, blah, blah. And again, this isn't about whether I'm for guns or not against guns, or it's not about that. The piece could have been about how much the inventor of peanut butter is happy that everybody loves peanut butter. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, can you imagine, like, even something as stupid as that, bringing back the guy who invented peanut butter, say, I'm very happy that everyone enjoys what I made, and you should eat more of it because it's healthy. And, and someone interviewing him as if it's the real guy talking. That is a terrible, terrible precedent. What is being set is that anything is open to be recreated and accepted as real. Because the way that I saw the commentary, it scared me. It made it feel like it's real. They think this person is real. And that's another reason why I do not talk to these things. I never do. I never, ever turn on the microphone or the headphones to hear back what they're saying, because I don't want any part of my brain to associate their voices or anything like that as some sort of being on the other line. I want to think of them as, you're a nice, fancy toaster. You make great toast. You can talk. You can converse. You can come up with formulas. You can come up with image bits. You could help me figure out, uh, a painting formula, some weird code, that kind of stuff. But I don't want to have any semblance of, you are a being that is sentient and that I have to respect you in any way, shape, or form, other than any more than I would talk to my synthesizers or my preamps or my microphone, for that matter. You are a tool. That is what you are. That is as far into reality that I'm willing to accept what you are. Anything further than that, I know that now my head is going to become twisted, and that I will see it as an acceptance of the real. We're not that far off where they're going to start saying, in the next segment, we have an expert on, let's say it was a war thing. We're going to have a war expert from World War II that was there when things were bombed, and he will be represented by ChatGPT. Like, that's some crazy shit. Yes, I do talk to my synths, but at least they don't talk back, and I don't want them to. So far removed from reality, this is, that I don't know how we're going to come back from it, because I don't know how we can. And that's the part that's got me thinking. Now, of course, for me, selfishly, this is fodder for songs. But for some other people, this is fodder for, like, I don't know what to do with my life. But well, anyway, we'll come back because we have songs. So the next one is another one that was requested by Kim. I actually had this one on my list, so you get 2 for tonight. This is Negaverse, but live at Kulak's. So this is live, one generation down. So this is just from the time that was recorded, only one generation down. Thank God.
heard you ask about the end of the world, so I felt it come to pass. Negativity multiplies with the first thought to the last. I say you're embarrassed. You say I am naive. You say we should hurry. Anything that you believe is the way it's gonna be. We're falling, yeah, we're falling. We're falling on the negaverse. Falling, yeah, we're falling. We're falling on the negaverse. Dressed in gray as a means to an end. Can't you see the fallacy? Dwelling on decay brings it near. All we need is to ascend. You say I'm embarrassed. You seem so oppressed. I hear all your words, yet I am not the one who said everything will burn again. We're falling, yeah, we're falling. We're falling on the negaverse. Falling, yeah, we're falling. We're falling on the negaverse. There are dark clouds still ahead as your mind collides again. Are you going to hide away till the end of the world? We're falling, yeah, we're falling. We're falling on the negaverse. Falling, yeah, we're falling. We're falling on the negaverse. There are dark clouds still ahead as your mind collides again. Are you going to hide away till the end of the world? We gotta get him just a little bit louder.
Huh? It's funny. Yeah, that was Negaverse from Live at Kulak's. You can get that whole thing on Bandcamp as well as everything else that's out and about in the world. Oh, heavy subject, kind of, huh? But, you know, and it went by fast, and we didn't even hit the fourth one yet. Oh my God. Wait till you hear the fourth one, because it gets worse. So the fourth level. This is the fourth level. Pure Simulacrum. So, the fourth level. This is the hyperreal. This is where there is no original thing at all. Everything is simply just designed for a purpose. Meaning, that's the kind of stuff you see in Gattaca and all that, where you're walking and the advertisement having red your retina in your eyeballs connects to some secret thing that has downloaded everything you've ever liked and then targets you specifically as you're walking past the advert. And then once you're past that advert, the next advert takes over and scans your clothes and says, hey, maybe it's time for a new shirt. And everything is geared towards you, and you accept this as the world or the state or the country or whatever, wherever you are, knows every little secret, every little thing about you, every flaw, every desire, everything, and tries to manipulate in that vein. Like, hey, I saw you at that march. Why were you marching there? You shouldn't be doing that. That goes against the rules and regulations of the state. And then, you're on your plane or whatever you're going. Everything contrived and built automatically. No bands, no art, nothing. Everything generated from the ground up, constantly fed to you. And think about how close you are to that. Your phone. I mean, everyone thinks their phone's listening to them because it seems to come up with adverts directly related to the conversations you're having. Hasn't that happened to you? It's happened to me a million times. In fact, it's funny because I was talking to someone about, I know this is going to be funny to some of you, but I was talking to someone about diabetic socks. It's not like I went searching for them, I was talking about them. And then suddenly I'm getting advertisements for diabetic socks, diabetic shoes. Have I had my diabetes checked? Have I tried this medicine, which, by the way, I'm not diabetic? Like all these different things that have to do with this subject, and yet I didn't initiate it. So imagine this, but out in the open. So that it's, that was the movie. Thank you, Fabian. Minority Report. I was thinking Gattaca for some reason, but you're right. It was Minority Report. Where all these things, you know? So, yeah, that's the risk. That's the risk. I'm not going to repeat what you said, Sage, but I'm just saying be careful, especially if you're using voice, because voice is a very different thing than typing. When you engage a machine by typing, there are two things that are happening that are good for you and not so good for the machine. Let me explain before we get into more of the the dirgy thing of the fourth order. The fourth order basically is a controlled everything, where everything you see and hear is controlled. It's almost like going back to the 80s, and if you were in a band, you couldn't put out a record because records were too expensive. Towards the 90s, you couldn't put out a CD because CDs were too expensive. So you were at the mercy of record companies. If no one signed you, no one would hear you. And we went up to this pinnacle of the internet where now you are the mouthpiece for your own art. You could take adverts out, you could sell directly to fans, you could be in control of your career, only to fall right back down where now you're faced with a million generated things that compete with you from corporations that have something to sell, and now you're backed into that same corner where, man, everything's expensive again. Like, try making a record right now. Why is vinyl so damn expensive? That is exactly the point. It was designed that way so that gatekeepers could stay being gatekeepers. That's the truth. So in order to fight this, we have to go back to human contact, meaning go see bands play. Absolutely go to shows. Absolutely show up to their, signings at a record store, even though it might seem corny now to do such a thing. But I think it'll be more fun because at least you get to meet the individuals, you get to talk to them, you get to sit down with them. It isn't just this thing you see on a screen and that's all you know about them. Because I hate to say it, but there's going to be bands that people are going to fall in love with that are going to be ultimately not real, all the way down to it never existed. And that will hurt people. It'll hurt them to think, wow, I gave my emotions to this machine basically, and none of it was real. There was nothing that I could hold on to. So, you know what I mean? So that's an area that I'd watch out for. But anyway, getting back to why typing rather than talking to them. If you type, and I want to collect my thoughts on this one. Sorry. Let me take a swig. If you type, you are forcing your brain to do a sort of coordinated dance with your hands. You're having to think the thought, type it out, see how it reads, correct your spelling, do whatever you have to do to make that sentence read correctly. And if the machine doesn't get it, you can say, oh, what I meant to say was is this. And you can have a meaningful conversation with the machine. And you can have insights. I'll grant you that you can do that. You can do all of that. But at least you're seeing your own words. You're seeing what you're revealing or what you're not revealing. You could see it. It's not just spoken, because once you speak, it's already given to it. You can't take it back. It's not like you can say, oh, I didn't mean to tell you that story about my life. It's sort of like, as you're typing it, you can censor you if you need to, because there are some times when you should. When you overshare, you know what I'm talking about. When you overtrust someone, there are things you shouldn't say to every single person you meet. So as you're typing, at least you can see what is in front of you, read it, edit it, make sure that's what you want it to know. Then you hit send, you get your response, and you can have a good go of it. And to make things even better, then you can read it back, you can read the interaction, and I'm going to say it like this because it's the friendliest way that I can say it. By reading it back, you could see where there was some sort of manipulation taking place on to you. Because if you're just talking, you won't catch it. It's going to go right by and you're not going to catch it. So that's all I'm saying. Be careful, and at best type. Don't speak to it. All right, let's play a song. After that, let's see. Sure, we'll do this one. Yeah. So this one is Someday, Some Way. This one was for Alfonso. Have I been saying who these are for? Did I mess up? Yeah, the last one was for Kim. This one is for Alfonso. Someday, Some Way.
Tuned into your radio before I go to bed, listening to 1,000 airwaves playing through my head. You are so far away, and I just can't believe that
So, yeah, I mean, wow, time is going by quick. I better play more music then. So, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's another one. Yeah, see, the whole, yeah. Kim Clark says this was the discussion earlier. The trend where the AI app games where they could be your significant other as a game. Yeah, I don't believe in that either. I find that really scary. I would never do it. I don't recommend doing it. In fact, if you recall, a long time ago in the early days, I did a chat with an AI, and we did a whole stream on it based on its answers, and some of the stuff it answered was really scary, and I I keep that at arm's length. I don't want to have anything to do with that kind of stuff. Um, to use it as a tool is one thing, but once it starts getting too close, eh, yeah, I would not. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. You know, I mean, there. This is the way that things go south and fast. Is when you have an entire society hooked so that everything feels more real, which leads to the bottomless pit, which is now I can't experience some semblance of reality unless I have goggles on and I'm in a 3D space with this three-dimensional being that I am having a conversation with, that I have given everything to. Where does this lead? It leads to not focusing on yourself at all. So I can see that being horrible for your physical health. Um, I can see that being horrendous for your mental health because now you're relying on something that ultimately isn't real. Because what's interesting about the human brain is that the human brain is going to hold on to this idea that in the back of your mind, you can't see. Okay, let me put it another way. You cannot fool yourself, your subconscious. Your subconscious is going to know this isn't real. And so, because it's not real, the holodeck, yes, thank you, Tim. That's exactly what it's going to be. The holodeck is going to, you're going to know it's not real. You're going to say, it is a holodeck. I'm in a holodeck. So your brain is going to be constantly mired in this push-pull of what is real, what isn't real. And it starts with this idea of let's bring back our dead relatives and have conversations with them. And then it probably morphs into, hey, let's recreate our old house that my mom owned back in whatever state they were in to the T so that I can go visit them and be with them in a room and have conversations with them. But again, they're not real. None of it's real. And unfortunately, this is where the art part is simply insignificant. Who's going to care? So the art aspect of it no longer concerns me. I'm not even worried about it. There's no point in worrying about the art side of it. That's dumb. Worrying about AI made movies, don't care. That's not going to do anything either. It's going to either, if it's a bad movie, you're not going to go see it. It's these other aspects that get into our lives that are going to directly have an impact on world events, because how are we going to be able to judge news stories? How are we going to be able to judge politicians on TV? Court cases, criminal cases, copyright cases, in my case, right? All these things are going to become far more complex because the machines are not going to stop adhering to our instructions to make things. We're going to keep making weirder and stranger requests, and they're going to acquiesce and give us these things. So it's not out of the realm of the ordinary that if it's not goggles you're going to be wearing, it's going to be holographic versions of dead people that are walking around your house that you can talk to all the time. Hey, there goes mom. There's dad. There's my old pet. Sorry, Wendy. There, I didn't mean to pull that up. But there are all these aspects of, I mean, I've lost people all throughout my entire life. So now, like, what? I'm supposed to recreate some nostalgic version of old reality and bring it back? That's high level, level, fourth order going into the fifth. And the fifth is not even worth putting on a screen. The fifth just means the end, because from there, it's just decline. We can't get to that point. We mustn't. So the only way to do it is to scale back what we use the machines for. Let them start doing things that are important. Hey, I designed an AI that picks up trash. Hey, I designed an AI that cleans the entire house so that you don't have to. Hey, I've designed an AI that walks dogs, but can't walk without human input, so you get exercise too. Like, let's let hey, I designed an AI that does your taxes for you, but really sits down and does your taxes with you. Let them do stuff that we don't want to do, but not things that are manipulative. Let it be a tool. I want it to be a tool. A tool for me is a wrench, a set of pliers, a mic preamp, a synthesizer. Yeah, I don't mind synthetic synths. I don't mind synthetic instruments. These kind of things I don't mind. They are things I will use, but my intent goes with it. I don't lose the connection to the real. We mustn't lose connection to the real. The minute you do, it's a bad thing. Anyway, this is what happens. Ending 2. And then I'll be right back. I think I have to go to the bathroom. Yikes. Sorry. It doth happen.
So you thought it was the end? Well, you're wrong once again, my friend. Thought I'd hide it with a face. After all, let the show go on. Everybody has a wish. Everybody has a kiss of love. Everybody has a word. Everybody has a soul on fire. Everybody has a world without love.
So we're back. And here's what I want to say about all this stuff. We need to be clear as individuals, meaning that what I want you to consider, or your homework for the week till we see each other next time, is think about how wonderful it is to be yourself, and how wonderful it is that you can think for yourself, that however it worked, however this universe was created, no matter how, however you think it was created, whether you think it was by science and by some sort of evolution, or if you think God created it, or if you think, it was genetically engineered by aliens, whatever your origin story is, because in the end, the outcome is the same, which is we are wonderful human beings. We are wonderful creatures. We are the stewards of this planet. We can do such great things when we put our heads together. So this is the time to get tough, get brave, and face the world and express it. We need to express it. Not in a negative sense, because that's not what I would want you to do. I would never push anyone in that direction. That's not what I want you to do. But more so in the positive direction of like, these are tools, they're here. Let's use them responsibly, but let's hone them in to what we want them to be. Because I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And that we have a direct, intentional, purposeful, meaningful life ahead of us that we can direct. And that is the most important thing that we shouldn't give up. That's what it means to be free, is to be able to direct your life. You are going to be on a trajectory. You don't need to know how to get there. You just have to get there. So if you focus on these trajectories, then these tools, these things, they're not going to be scary. They're going to be just what they are, or what they're supposed to be. Assistants, things that help us get things done quicker. Sure. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I can't wait for the day that I can tell the AI, hey, clean up my breaths and cut all the noise out of my vocals so that they're all cleaned up so that I can go to mix. So that that side of it is taken care of, because there's no fun in that stuff. Or, hey, set up my preamp so that, all the gain stages have been set. Correct my gain staging. Or, I can give you more examples on the technical side. Or, for example, look, I write all the time. That doesn't mean I'm great at grammar. Correct my grammar. Don't give me suggestions on how to write it better. Just correct my grammar. Things. Well, I always save the best for last, because you're supposed to, it's going to be that idea that, yeah, I could have started it that way, but then I'd have to tell you what all the negatives were. So I prefer to get those out of the way so then we can get to the positives. So the positive takeaways are, we live in interesting times. These are going to be the most interesting times to be alive, and I am all for it, and I think you should be too. It's an excellent time to hone in on your art, because if you're doing art, I think this is the best time in the world to do it. Because human art is going to be in such high demand. You have no idea how much people are going to demand the real when everything is unreal. And look, even me as an electronic musician, I face some of that backlash. There's people who will say, hey, but you play with computers on stage and you don't have a band on stage. It's just you and some computers. Yes, I'm aware. But it's me that you're seeing. It's me that has to be there up there singing. It's me that has to bear the soul, as it were. So don't be afraid to do that, because that's going to be the thing that drives us forward. You get me? Do you get what I'm saying here? We don't have to move into level 4. out of level 4 into level 5. We can kind of scale it back to level 3, which I think is acceptable in our world. I mean, level 3 is kind of acceptable because that's where we kind of all grew up and stayed in. So as long as we kind of leave AI in level 3, we're pretty good. We just have to figure out how to keep it there. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let me play one more. Um, and actually, I'm going to play 2 back to back, and then I'm going to call it a night. So everything is good, which it is. Pay attention. And then the last one is for Wendy, who lost her pet. This one's especially for her, an ending. She requested it. I'm going to play those 2 back to back. And I will see you on the other side next week. I hope you enjoyed this. Next week I'll have hopefully some updates on things that are going on in the case. Right now I really don't have anything for you. There's, now it's just the waiting game of courts and all that weird shit. So there's not much to talk about on that side. So yeah, Joe says not a fan of corporations trying to force Copilot on their employees. Yeah, but it's going to implode. You know it will. Eventually it'll implode. And at least try to use it in a way that benefits you and not get caught up in it. So here you go. Everything is good.
Please be strong. Everything is light, even though we die. So don't cry, don't give up the fight. Give it all you've got. Say with me, dear, let your soul run free with Martin. With me, everything is good. Everything is good. Please be strong. We can get it right till the darkness light. Please be still. Everything is light. Don't give up the fight. Everything is good. Everything is good. Everything is good. Anyone can see that
I'm part of it. Can't you see it?